We're going to start with when the Rams have the ball against that tenacious Seahawks defense. And this is our Hoss Fight of the week. And actually, good note, Stone. Might be Hoss Fight of the year between this Rams offense, fully healthy Rams offense, going against the Seahawks defense, which is more or less fully healthy as well. So when you're focusing on this side of the ball, Chuck, what you got? Because there's a lot to pick at here. A lot of good players, a lot of good scheme. This one could be fun.
Oh man, it's like I've been a little concerned by the Rams' recent performance, I guess, over a month. Because I think there's something happening in these games that it's almost impossible to predict, but it's been a consistent theme in their past month of games. At some point, Stafford gets tweaked up with something, whether it's a hand or a back or a shoulder, and it all falls apart immediately because they play such a such an aggressive offense in terms of their passing style that requires a lot of precision, and when he's off his game and those passes are kind of flying all over the place, they kind of have fallen into ruts at times. Just over the past month, they're all of their the first downs per drive, yards per drive, points per drive, it's all fallen down to just above average territory instead of the absolute flamethrowers that they were for basically the entire rest of the season. And it's just I guess where I've been looking at it is, if Stafford can get through this game without getting dinged up again, then I don't really think there's any reason to expect that the Rams offense will be awful or, really struggle again, because even in the most recent game that they played, Stafford was great until he took a hit in the second quarter, third quarter, got banged up, and then was missing wildly for a good chunk of that game until the fourth quarter. I think we started to get it together a little bit. But Seattle's defense, not hitting you and not banging you up, that's not, I don't think that's a realistic standard to have. So I guess I just want to see if they try to do anything to mitigate that, because to me that's been it's kind of been the only real problem with their offense, but it's a big problem to have. If he's going to start missing throws and not being able to be the precise player that he needs to be, that's where things can go off the rails. Because the Panthers defense is not good. And in that most recent wildcard game, they gave him a chance a little bit because he was off his game. And then the Bears game last week, a lot of throws where you're looking man, what is going on here? I know you're more accurate than this. I know you're a better quarterback than this, but he's just been kind of off the past month. And Seattle has not been off at all. They're on top of all of it. They're the opposite.
Quite opposite, I would say.
Yeah, as far away from off as you can get. Even just looking at their stats, over the past month, in that same time frame, 3.5 net yards per pass attempt, 3.6 yards per play, minus 0.45 EPA per dropback. And this is against the 49ers twice, where that was the top three offense over the majority of the season this year. Man, it kind of feels they're it's not the Rams fully trending down, but it feels they're trickling down a little bit, while the Seahawks they're blowing through the roof right now on defense.
Yeah, the Rams they feel a little less perfect where I was watching them against some offense. The game that I think that's sticking out for me with the Rams offense, and then whether this is fair or not, is when they played the Lions, where it's just everything worked. Just running, chucking it, everybody scoring touchdowns. I don't know, it just felt like one of those performances where I was oh man, this is one of the best offenses I've seen. And they feel a little more mortal, which is how it goes. The end of the season, you're playing tougher opponents, all that stuff. But like you said, it wasn't the Panthers defense is amazing. I understand the Panthers offense giving the Rams defense some issues. We talked about kind of their player weight and other things. There's some stuff that they could pick at, but the offense should be kind of the driver of everything. That's Stafford's winning MVP. He's the MVP candidate. The run game is, again, I got to repeat the stat, the best run game we've seen this millennium, if you're just looking at running back rushing success rate. And so I think the finger thing, him just taking those one little blow. Yeah, it's always it feels a initial drive is great. He gets hit once and then there's some tapering off and then he cranks it back up and hits some hero shots at the end of the game. That's kind of feels like the Rams flow. What's nice and not nice sometimes is that they played each other already twice, as far as just looking at repeated matchups. But then it's you don't want to extrapolate too much from those previous matchups because it's like they change and there might be different figures in there, but you also kind of have to look at it. And the Seahawks defense did hold the Rams offense to like a pretty rough running game the first time they played. I remember that time, the first time they played, it was like situations in the opening drive was when the Rams run game worked. When I mean situations, I mean like 3rd and 1, red zone, as opposed to the flow of the game I always talk about, which is in between the 20s, technically the -8 to the +20. But in between those and then 1st and 2nd down. That's why I always look at those stats. That's why I call it the flow of the offense. And it felt like they had run game wise some issues in that first matchup. And then the second matchup, they were hitting big plays. And what was curious to me, it was they're hitting big plays that I see other offenses try to do against the Seahawks defense, but they don't do it. And then here's the Rams popping off and Puka Nacua, because Devontae Adams didn't play their last matchup. Puka Nacua had receptions of 54 yards, 58 yards, 27 yards, and 41 yards. His air yards on 16 targets averaged 10.69 yards. He put up 19 receptions for 10 first downs and 300 yards in their first 2 matchups. And I was looking, I was like, I watched them all back. All right, is there like something they did? Like why were they able to get these in breakers? And then I watched the 49ers running similar high lows, and they're just getting clamped down on. One, Stafford's going to push the ball a little further, like because he has that arm, and he also has the cojones to do so. They were really attacking Ernest Jones in coverage, as opposed to the hook players. And when I say hook, think slot. That's a Manowari and Witherspoon at times in this defense. And that's where I saw those guys popping off against the 49ers, running underneath stuff, taking everything away. And then when I watch back these games, the Rams are running like it was like some early down plays, like 1st and 2nd down. They're running what's called a dagger concept, which is a seam and then a dig behind it. And this is a difference of like, I try to make it simplistic sometimes, but this is why football is amazing, because you can like kind of like dive deeper and deeper into things and find more and more. There's different types of dig routes. So there's basics. That's literally what it's called, a basic, which is a 14 to 16 yard dig, usually from the tight end or the slot. So an interior dig. And then there's deep digs, which is 18 to 22 yards. And that's what you see usually beat cover 2 on the backside. That's what you see on dagger concepts, more downfield. So one is the 5-step variety and one is the 7-step variety as far as the quarterback drop. The deep digs is what the Rams were hitting, not the basic digs that the 49ers were trying to get to. And this matters. This is what I'm pulling at here. This is the thread I'm pulling at. And why that worked was because rather than getting the hooks involved, that became Ernest Jones's coverage guy or coverage area or responsibility. And they kept getting him with it, where he's trying to look in the middle and run back. That's not his strength of his game. He's good going forward and shoring things up. Him turning back, that's not what you want. And that's what the Rams took advantage of, especially as the second half went along. And also they were hitting a lot of stuff like, it wasn't very dinky-dunky. It was very like shot play action, digs, wheel routes, Terrence Ferguson, post routes, corner routes. He hit a post route to Xavier Smith, who I think might have a moment in this game, where they try this really top-down defense. You have to beat it over the top. So I do think that the Seahawks defense is incredible. It's one of the most fun defenses I've watched because of just how clean they are and how well everybody plays together. But the Rams, I think, have a couple answers. Like, yeah, you have to run the ball. Hopefully you get that going. But passing game-wise, I think it's going to be – I don't want to say full-out boom bust, but I think Stafford's going to be launching some – I think this is going to be a lot of 15 or 20 yards down the field over and over and over again. I that's how I'm viewing this side of the ball, at least.
Better keep them upright then.
That's it.
It's one hit every game that knocks them out for like 2.5 quarters.
You're
That's
right.
It's a long time against Seattle's defense. Hopefully they're just, maybe a little bit sturdy up front, or just trying to find ways to mitigate that, because, even like over the past month, like they've fallen to 20th in terms of percentage of drives without a first down.
Interesting.
Like that's not where you usually have seen this defense or team's offense, excuse me. And it does feel like they've been a little bit more boom bust than consistently just raise you down like they were for just about the entire season. And like we said before, Seattle's defense is getting better. Like the basically from the first drive in that 49ers game last week, when they tried the pitch on that fourth down and they snuffed it out, we were like, oh, this is over. Like,
yeah.
Game
Opening
over.
Script is shut down like that. Oh God, yeah.
God bless you, man. And they do everything well. They have a ton of good players. Like their defensive line is playing out of its freaking mind right now. Like Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Murphy, even Nuoso on the edge. Like those guys are all just complete ass kickers. And I think like the interior or the first three guys that I named, like those are just some of the flat out like best defensive linemen in the league, and they all play right next to each other. So it's going to be a monster, but like they're talented enough to do it. You know, I just, you know, like you said, can you hit those big shots and can you keep Stafford upright? Because those are the two biggest things that I think that matter for the Rams in this game. Because we'll get to it. I'm a little leery of their defense, where they're at right now. So I think they need to have Stafford have a big game. Yeah,
before I hop over there, I'm with you. I think the run game, I think this is my best way to too long didn't read it. I think the run game's a wash. I think the Rams run offense versus the Seahawks run defense both will have moments, but one doesn't have a clear advantage. One of the best run games we've seen, but against an amazing run defense that plays out two high boxes. Because like you said, they have just dudes up front. They have a member of every archetype. They have like the variety pack of front seven guys. It's really, I'm kidding, but I'm also dead serious when I say that. It's like, all right, we need a plugger. Okay, we got Leonard Williams. Okay, we need a nose that can eat up double. Okay, we got Byron Murphy. Okay, we need the bendy guy. We got Nuosu. Okay, like we need the guy that's going to cave people's heads in. All right, we got Derek Hall and DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, you know, they just have every type of guy that you need, and that's what's really fun about this defense, because they got a defense coordinator with his kaleidoscope scheme that can kind of just go, okay, this offense is weak against this. This is what we'll do. I will say, last week is McClendon kind of got picked on a little bit. Last couple weeks, I would say, at right tackle. Messing with his eyes a little bit. So curious. That was more a Panthers game. And also the Panthers had some success, and I keep bringing this up, was the green dog stuff, adding on pressures, just trying to maybe not getting hit on Stafford, but he has to get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds. And that's hard to attack downfield and be accurate, because you have to throw with anticipation down the field. Yeah, he can do it. These receivers can do it, but you just kind of limit the room for error when you do that. So maybe some things on recent film that I can look at. Not that McDonald truly needs it. And the last thing, I'm like, oh yeah, just chuck it deep. The Seahawks since week 10 are first in success rate on throws of 15 more air yards. They allow a 30.5% success rate, and they're second in EPA per play on deep pass throws. So yeah, it's not like it's the best thing ever that you can go against this defense. Maybe some tight end targets down the field or slot targets down the field. I think that's what maybe I'll look at. All right, let's get on to the other side of the ball. Seahawks offense versus Rams defense. So you said maybe some Rams stuff that you're kind of maybe squinting at a little bit. Maybe some smelliness coming maybe from the Rams defense or something like that. But what you got, Chuck?
Yeah, I just kind of feel like they've hit the point where the talent level, like the actual talent level is showing up. Because, you know, over the first half of the season, like they were one of the best like flat out defenses in the league. I was like, man, like, yeah, I'm looking at their depth chart. I'm like I've watched Nate Landon play for the Falcons, you know. I was a little surprised when he got Manuel that contract extension. I've seen Emmanuel Forbes play before. You know, Cam Curl, Cam Curl was a solid addition, but most of the other guys, like, you know, if you can squeeze something out of this, like that'd be impressive. And then they were, you know, almost the number one defense over the first half of the season. Since then, not quite so much. They've fallen back down to you know, about maybe average territory, maybe a little below average. And we've talked about this for the Vikings before, but like this is where it's tough. Like, but you don't have basically you need Jared Verse to just kind of black out every game. Is what some of these games have turned into, which is that's a tall ask. And we've seen with the Vikings, when you don't have like many stars, it has to be like game plan like so meticulously. And like they're still doing a pretty good job. Like they it's not like the bottom has totally fallen out on this defense, but now that we're in the portion of the season where you're seeing like the best that you're going to see every week, yeah, leaving some room to be desired. Like even last week against the Bears, they held the Bears to 17 points, but the Bears had 40 yards per drive. They were moving the ball pretty well. They got explosive plays. They just, turnovers killed you, and you couldn't quite convert in spots that you needed to. It's a tough way to play each week, but also like there's no really other answers. Like if your problem is personnel, okay, well it's the NFC Championship game. Nothing you can do about that right now. So
right. There's no December draft.
Yeah, this is kind of it. And
early enrollee.
Yeah, like where I get scared is like to me like one of the biggest problems about this defense is you've got the worst combination of like small and slow at the same time. Like you got good players, but you're not big, you're not fast, and it kind of shows on some of these plays where teams are able to like run the ball on them and march down the field, and like they'll get like some of the penetration plays, but it's not really like the most sturdy defense. And what's interesting, like since week 10, like they rank 5th in like successful play rate on rushing attempts, but they're down to 18th on EPA per rush. So they're like, maybe you don't get them every play, but the times you do, they can get gashed. And I think that's where you might see like Kenneth Walker have, some of his patented plays where, it's not always the cleanest with him, but when he has that crease and we can see it, man, he can really get out of there and he's tough to tackle in open space. So I think just kind of like that physicality might be a problem for the Rams because, like I said, just not the most talented defense out there. And at some point, that's really just going to come back and bite you. Yeah.
And I have to correct myself. I said 49ers for some reason. Bears, who the Rams played last week. That's who they were attacking, was McClendon with all those saw blitzes. But that's a big thing. They got him with the blitzes. But yeah, Rams defense. So this is week 10 again, including playoffs, all that stuff. They've kind of fallen off. I agree with you. The first half of the season, I was like, hey, man, like Chris Shula has deserved all the hype he's gotten this year. Like he's gotten the most out of this group. But I think the second half of the season is what they really are, as opposed to what we saw in the first half of the season. And again, you can look at full season, they're top 10 and everything, top 10 this, top 10 that. But I look at the second half of the season, it's like they're 17th in passing success rate. That feels about right to me. 14th in explosive passes. Yep, that feels more right. More like an average pass defense that gets the most out of their guys, as opposed to top 5, which they were. Eye test and stats. Like I kept going, like, I don't know if I believe this, and they just kept performing. But tape comes out. I have noticed that Shanahan offenses, the 49ers game is the one that stands out to me. They played like a month or two ago. They played twice this year in the same division, all that. But the one that stands out to me, so it was in San Fran. So whichever week that was, they just kept hitting all these in-breakers on them. And that stood out to me. And then I kept watching the Rams defense. And then sure enough, in-breakers, condensed formations and in-breakers. Seahawks, I brought this stat up last week against the Bears offense against this Rams defense. They had the most condensed, or one of the most condensed formations. This is one of the worst defenses against condensed formations. Seahawks run condensed formations even more than the Bears do. And that's how you can get those dual in-breakers and get the high lows, but you attack kind of the leverage. If you look at a Rams defense, they'll have 5 up front, 1 guy in the middle, and then the DBs kind of play like truly a shell, like truly like outside in on the outsides and then top down on the top by the safeties. It's truly just trapping everything inside. And if you can start figuring out ways, high lows and switch routes, where guys switch release on stuff, can really get after them. So it's just a more gettable defense. The big thing though is, can you pressure Sam Darnold? That's really what it's going to be. If you pressure Sam Darnold, you have a real shot because you can get turnovers, you can get sacks, you can get big plays for the defense. They've been in pressure rate, I believe they've been like 2nd in pressure rate, but not getting a lot of sacks.
Yeah, they're not. Their pressure sack rate is super low, but they got a lot of pressures.
25th in sack rate since week 10, 2nd in pressure rate. That's like, and I get that because they do some funky stuff. They get some unblocked pressures and maybe the ball gets rid of quick, and because you have a throw, like that can happen when you have guys that are more. Usually, like I've looked at like Saints defenses from when Dennis Allen was there, where they would always be like low on sacks and knockdowns, but high on pressure. Or I could be wrong here, but one of the things is because they just push the pocket, and so they might not get the actual knockdown, but they're trying to make the quarterback feel just. that's kind of what you want to do against Sam Darnold. You want Sam Darnold to feel, that's how you get him. And I think that's really, I hate to sound so simplistic, but that's what I'm looking at, and what I think is the big thing for the Rams defense is how you create pressure on them. They've done it before. Different offense. I know the Vikings are a different team, but you can get him. The big thing for me is Zach Charbonnet's out, who's their protection running back for the Seahawks. George Kalani, I believe, is practicing, was on IR a little bit. He's got some stuff to him as a runner. Pass protection wise, I'd be lying if I said I could grade him, but that matters because Kenneth Walker, eye test, just years and years from college to now, not good in protection. He has bad eyes. He's bad at sustaining. He'll maybe, if he's confident, he'll pop a guy, but he's bad at sustaining. He gave up a sack last week. And the Rams, how they run their front, it's more just attacking the offensive line. I guarantee you they'll attack the right guard all day, every day. The entire game, the right guard's going to get attacked and picked and all this stuff. But that doesn't really threaten the running back, because you're just, offensive line has the 5 guys across from them. So I'm curious, earlier in the season, I saw Shula doing, when they played the Texans, who had bad pass protection backs, they really attacked him and tried to make him wrong. So did they use more of that? Is that, as opposed to 5 across, they do something to kind of manipulate the back, not let Walker get out in coverage or on a route, attack him when he does have to pass protect, because I think that is a key. Attack the running back in protection, and one of them will pop. That is a big play for the Rams. The Seahawks also have injuries to the left tackle. Charles Cross is day-to-day with a foot injury. Josh Jones has a knee injury, and then Amari Knight, or I think it's Knight or Kite, K-I-G-H-T, also has a knee injury. So, but Cross, I think, will play, but still have to, freaking left tackle who just got an extension, not playing. Yeah, definitely something to look at as well. Seahawks offense, though, the run game's gotten going. Not having Charbonnet does hurt, but Halani is actually pretty solid. Can kind of do enough run game wise. They've had some creativity formationally. They did in the Week 16 game where they played, and also last week where they're, JSN's in the backfield, or they're switching guys' roles around. Kind of a nice way to maybe change up against this defense that wants to kind of tee off on your tendencies. So there's some fun thought going on to this side of the ball, because both these teams units are good, but they're imperfect. And I think that's very, very fun when we get to playoff time.
One last thing that I'm looking at for this game, late down passing for both of these teams has been they've kind of gone in opposite directions, where since week 10, the Seahawks, they've been one of the worst late down passing teams in the league. 24th EPA per dropback. They lead the league in interception rate on late down dropbacks since week 10. And the Rams lead the league in interception rate on defense on late down dropbacks since week 10. 7.3%. They've gotten they've gotten 8 interceptions. The Seahawks have thrown 5. But when you rate it out, Seahawks last in the league in interception rate on late down passing. Because, we see Sam, he's talented, right? But he's prone to crapping out and doing some really dumb things, all the time. It's ultimately, it's probably the most frustrating thing about him, because it's dude, you are obviously talented enough to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yep. Just flat out. But there's just some block there that's not letting him fully access, the God-given talents that he has as a thrower. So that's probably a spot where, maybe we see the game flip, where just a high leverage down and they're coming after him and they get their hands on the ball, because that's one thing that they've been good at this season. And, turnovers can be hard to predict. But I think I don't think it's a slight to say they'll have a few chances probably to get their hands on the football in this game.
Right. And that really is what it feels like, though. Darnold's been one of the worst on 3rd and long this year. The Seahawks are 31st, and so 3rd and long is 7 yards more 7 yards or more to go on 3rd down, and they are 31st in conversion rate on 3rd and long. This is as the most, in the weirdest way, not the weirdest way, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's very much the most Shanahan Kubiak offense, period. It's a team designed to win on 1st and 2nd down, and once they get the 3rd down, it's hopefully we get it. Yeah, hopefully we get it. That's really what it gets to. I had the stat last week. Oh, wow, the Chiefs are dead last in 3rd and long conversion rate. 17.3% of their 3rd and longs. They and again, the Rams have allowed shorter third downs as the season has got along, so that does help out. But again, if you get pressure on Darnold, and that's why it's so huge to bring it up, is if he takes a sack, the stat I came across last week was his air yards on the play after he takes a sack is 1.1, because if he takes a sack, the Kubiak just goes unplug him, throw a screen, or we're handing the ball off. So you get a sack, drive over, like a true drive over. It's not like a Drake May drive. Like Drake May gets sacked, the next play he's chucking that thing to try and get it all back. Darnold, they just say, no. Don't make a bad play. Don't make a bad situation even worse. For better or for worse, Darnold can come back from it. Like he does have that cornerback mentality where you watch the Texans game where he's backed up after having a turnover and he's chucking it. But again, that can lead to spiraling depending on what's kind of going on. Or he's a shooter. Shoot. He's going to shoot you out of it, or he's going to just bury you. So it's up to, the defense to kind of make him feel like he's about to get buried and kind of pile on top of that.
So I just looked at pressure drop back since week 10 on laid down passing. And it's in a messed up way for Seattle, a good way for the Rams. These stats kind of mirror each other. They both have a 12% interception rate under pressure on laid down passing. Both 3% explosive pass rate, both about the same, sack rate, which is going to be high because these are pressure plays, but, that's about around 20%. So, that's not good. Like when the green and the red are about the same number, because you don't want to be 12% interception rate under pressure, like on these critical downs, but you do if you're the defense. You don't want to be 3% explosive pass rate on these critical downs because when you need a play, but you do if you're the defense. So it's gonna be interesting. Also, when they're under pressure, obviously this is low, but Sam Darnold ranks, or the Seahawks offense, they rank 28th in third and long conversion at 7%, and the Rams are top 5. So if they can get pressure on them, it's doable, which they can do. Like Jared Verse, it's like, yeah, I don't know like where people. Yeah, I don't know where people like rank Verse like edge rushers, but he's like knocking on the door of being an ace because he can really take over some of these games, man. Like I think that ended up being a pick that was big boom for them. And you kind of look back and you say, obviously the Super Bowls were worth it, but if you had a couple more first round picks on this defense,
look where it would be.
That's where you start to see the talent. Yeah, it was worth it. Totally worth it. But
no, Versus to me, Versus like a low end one. What I like about it is that he plays a run and pass. So, but I agree. Like an ace to me is the high ends. Like, and I agree. He's like right on that cusp of it. Like just, like a tier two guy, but a 1, if that makes sense. And I think Byron Young is like a high end too. That drops into coverage, does a bunch of stuff for him too. And then, Kobe Turner as well. I think they're going to pick at the right guard the entire game. But you just look for the right side of the Seahawks offensive line and look for a lot of movement with the Rams. They'll probably do a lot of like double TEs. I think what do they call it? What do you guys call on defense? Exit stunt.
Oh yeah,
exit stunts. Yeah, 2 guys rush in inside and 1 guy loops around. Oh yeah, get ready for those. And that's a great example of where offensive line and DB play are very similar. It's match coverage. I mean, it's the same rules for the offensive line, and just like how you do that, like sliding or zone coverage, I should say, and sliding over and bumping over and everything. So I think that's what we're going to see a lot of that action. To top it off, if they do a lot of that action, Rams defense 28th in scramble EPA in the second half of the season. Darnold hasn't really run a ton this year, but that's always a part of his game. He is a great athlete. He's one of the best throwers on the move, like period, in the NFL, especially to his left. So maybe a little bit of movement from him. Avoided scramble lane or pass rush lane, and he can get out of the pocket.
Damn, I just got a crazy throwback because like when we were talking about the stunts, like he said, I don't know if every defense does it, but I think a lot of defense call them like pirate stunts, like where you flip 2 inside, 1 outside, and are audible for that if we were in like late second or like late half, late game or obvious passing down. No, Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean,
Okay.
Johnny.
You guys on defense getting all creative.
Yeah.
Look at that one. I'll come over. There's been some, there's some like code names I wish I could explain, but I like my job.
Yeah, some you got to keep in the past. Some you really got to keep in the past.
Got to keep in the past. Keep them in the QB room. Keep them in the DB room. Never bring them up again.
Nope.
But yeah, no, there's some fun ones though that are a little more PG. And we get there, I'll probably think of some before the show wraps up. The last little thing, 21 personnel from the Seahawks. They've been getting more into it, and the Rams aren't great against that, especially against the pass, which makes sense too. 5 across, you can kind of attack leverage of the linebackers as well. That was the last thing I want to throw in there. All right. Predictions. Again, the spread 2.5. So Vegas is viewing this fairly even.
It's tough. I think I'm gonna flip on my bracket and go with Seattle here. I just watching their defense, man. It's just it's so overwhelming. Like I don't even know like how much I fear like Stafford having one of these games again, but I just can't like get the image of like just how bad they beat up the 49ers 2 times in a month. And then I even like just kind of skimmed through the Panthers game again. Man, like just tossing dudes out the club, like hitting people with axes everywhere. It's kind of such a visceral image. I gotta keep riding that high. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks and the box office defense.
Oh, man. I really have no idea. I have nothing written down what I was predicting here. I've gone back and forth on this a million times. Like even rewatching week 16, I was like, oh yeah, this game was like all the Rams. And then the fourth quarter happened. And then the Seahawks clawed back. All the big plays, a lot of corner routes. So look for corner routes from the Seahawks. I had the Rams the whole way. Rams were a team basically since first month. I was like, this is probably the Super Bowl favorite. I'm with you. I'm going with the Seahawks as well. At home, special teams advantage. Have to bring that up. Obligated to bring that up because the Seahawks have a significant special teams advantage in this game. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I didn't think I actually had no idea which way I was going to go, but I just wanted to talk this out and figure it out. But yeah, Seahawks in what should be in a great game, but at home, that's kind of just what I'm leaning on. Just leaning on that defense. That defense is like an all-time defense. It's one of the best I've seen, at least since I've been in media. I'm trying to think back when I was a kid or when I was in the league or something like that, but it's one of the better defenses. I mean, the Broncos in the mid 2010s was probably the best defense I've kind of like really scouted and looked at. There's no fly zone, the Legion of Boom Seahawks, but this one's up there, man. The early 2000 Ravens, early 2000s Bucks, trying to think of some other banger defenses, but this one's up there. And
it's up there.
Yeah, the Rams offense is amazing. Seahawks defense is amazing. It's going to be an awesome game. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but that is not willingly. That's just because I have to predict something here.